All right, Chris, we'll start with roll call.
Sir Scott Meyer.
Here.
Amy Lawson.
Here.
Chris McCrae here. Ed Brand here. Dan Hughey.
Here. We do have a quorum. Do we have a change to the agenda?
Yes, we do actually, just a couple of items. Item 6C, which is the facade repair request for Taxman, that'll be tabled to the next meeting. They're still working on getting 2 additional quotes. And then under number 8 for invoices, we've got the final invoice for payment for 401 South Merrill Street that just came in.
So we're adding that.
Yes.
Is that it for changes?
Yes.
Agenda with the changes noted.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve in a second. Any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Meeting agenda is approved. We have 2 sets of minutes to approve, the February 2025 and March 2025.
Motion approved.
Both? Your motion is to approve both of them?
Yes.
He was not the 30th.
Yeah. I abstained from the February meeting.
Second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries with 1 abstaining. On to old business. RDC to consider reuse request for 124 Staat, the former Hughes Funeral Home. Adam?
All right. So for this particular item, this is a continuation of what was presented at the last meeting. The commission decided to continue this discussion to this meeting with hopes of having a full quorum, a full membership of the RDC to hear about this important idea. So it's up to you as to how you want to proceed. If you want them to do the presentation again, I'm sure they can do that. The guides are here to do that. Or you can just continue discussion. It's up to you.
I think for the members that wasn't present, we should have them represent it.
Okay, we can do that. I don't think we need to go line by line. I think everybody gets the gist. So if you want to hit on the key points, whoever's doing the presentation, please state your name and relation to the project.
Good evening. My name is Mark DeLassy. I'm Vice President at Indiana Landmarks. We are the statewide historic preservation organization. I participated in a previous meeting with a different group of people. A few of you may have been in that. But I think what my role here tonight is, first of all, just to lend our support to the proposal before the Redevelopment Commission. Our organization, just to give a little bit of background, we were started in 1960 by Eli Lilly. And as an organization today, we're the largest of our kind, a state organization in the United States that both work with communities to preserve and revitalize downtown areas, historic neighborhoods, individual landmark properties. And one of the things I presented about in the earlier Zoom meeting that I was a part of was that this property, which is known as the Ayers House by its historic name, is one of the most significant landmarks in this community. And how I say that is that Hancock County, as part of a statewide initiative to survey all historic properties, Hancock County was surveyed, including the town of Fortville. And then within that, there is a grading system or a tier system given to the significance of each of those buildings in your community. So there was 4 tiers. The highest tier is the most important one. That's outstanding rated properties. And this house is an outstanding rated property. So to consider that an alternative to redevelopment of the property might be its loss or demolition for a parking lot or for other concepts of what it might be, I think would be a loss for Fortville. I think you all, I haven't been in this community that much. I work in all of central Indiana. But both having heard of Fortville before I first came here years ago, and then since having visited numerous times, this community has a fantastic downtown area. And I almost feel like you guys are a little bit of a hidden gem in the metro Indy area. But when you're here and when you're on your sort of the main drag there in downtown, you guys, most of your buildings are occupied. You've got restaurants, you've got shops. You just have a terrific downtown area that represents your community well. And I think hopefully therefore attracts developers and others to come in and invest in the community. So what you have here are 2 entrepreneurs who want to take this property and put it to a good use that will hopefully generate tax revenue for the community down the road. That's a good thing. It helps support your infrastructure, your schools. And so we see the use that they're proposing here for this landmark property as a good thing. And they showed me around through the property, so I've been through it. Frankly, there's nothing about it that struck me as being structurally compromised in any way. One of the fellows here is an engineer. I would be working with it and seem to agree. It's mostly sort of that aesthetic surface stuff that needs to be redone. And once it is and reopened for the purpose that they're looking for, I think it would be of great benefit. One of the things I talked about in that last meeting again, and I'm going to just provide you with some handouts.
Absolutely.
One of the incentives that a developer can utilize in an instance like this is to recognize the historic structure on the National Register of Historic Places. And being rated an outstanding rated property pretty much guarantees that the building can indeed be listed. Why is that important? Yes, it recognizes and acknowledges the historic significance of building, but perhaps more importantly, it also unlocks some grants and other opportunities, including what are called the Rehabilitation Investment Tax Credits, which we just refer to as the historic tax credits. They can cover 20% of the cost of the rehabilitation of a historic property, one that's either on or in the process of being listed in the National Register. Which, by the way, I might add is something that your entire downtown and all of those folks could also tap into. Downtown Fortville isn't yet on the National Register of Historic Places, but it is something that could be advantageous to look at. But certainly for this individual property, that is something that they could potentially look at as a development incentive to be able to invest into this property. So I'm gonna leave it there. If you all have questions of me, I'm more than happy to come back up and address those. Otherwise, please know that we are supportive of the request before you.
What was the term you used to identify the building? What level is it?
It's called outstanding rated. The way the state rated those properties, it's outstanding, notable, contributing, and non-contributing. So non-contributing are things like parking lots or modern construction. And then you move up in significance in terms of what kind of integrity the building has, how great of an example or a piece of architecture it was from day one when it was built. So this house is an excellent example of colonial revival style architecture. When you look at that columned front that's on the building, the house still has many of its original features are intact, both outside and inside. It does have a later siding material on it, but those are the features or factors, I guess, that go into it being that highest rating.
Okay. Any committee members have a question for Mark?
What was your position again?
I am vice president at Indiana Landmarks.
Okay.
Okay. Anything
I
else?
guess to piggyback off that, if they were to proceed with this and we were to keep it, or they were to keep it at an outstanding level, would that siding material, for instance, need to be replaced?
We talked about that today a little bit. I would actually encourage them, and I actually think it could be more cost effective if they just took the current out siding, which I think is vinyl siding, if they just took that off and went back to the historic material that's still underneath it. We actually saw in one place when I went through the building where the original wood siding is revealed. You can see it, and it's in pristine condition. I don't know what the siding would be like once the vinyl siding came off. There may have been some damage that occurred when you nail in the vinyl siding, the strips that you put the vinyl siding, how you attach it, which you'd have to have a carpenter go in and pull siding and slip new pieces of siding in. But I think that repair would be far more cost effective than tearing off all that and replacing it with some other kind of material.
You probably don't know anything about carpentry, do you?
No, not a thing.
Yeah.
So it's urged or recommended to bring it back to its natural,
I
guess,
think
beauty, I guess, for lack of better terms, but not required.
correct.
Okay.
Yep.
So
Now, I will just add to that, the program I talked about, the historic tax credits, if they did decide to pursue the use of those credits, there are preservation guidelines that go with the use of federal funds. So you would have to meet certain standards. Now, I will say, if they decide they go, look, we don't want to remove that siding off the exterior, we're just going to leave it there as is and not do anything with it, they can do that. No force. The use of the credits doesn't force somebody to do something. It's just if you are going to do something, then it has to go back to more what the historic look of the property is. So I always see it as it affords an opportunity to tap into somebody else's funds, the federal funds, into your project that can then again serve as an incentive, because that's 20% you're not paying out of your own pocket. You're finding as an incentive to do this work from elsewhere.
So does this money is a federal grant?
It's a tax credit. It's not a grant. So a grant would typically come to you to then do the work to the property, and then somebody would inspect and make sure you did it on the backside. A tax credit, you are going to spend the money up front and then turn in evidence that you've completed the work. And then you're going to receive a federal tax credit from the Internal Revenue Service for the work once complete.
Which they can then utilize on their, for tax purposes. And
Right,
things.
exactly.
I think a lot of times we see developers also strip those and sell them off.
And syndicate credits, yes, and oftentimes we tell, say, nonprofits even about that because they can't use the tax credits, but if they syndicate those credits, they don't get dollar for dollar, but maybe 80 or 90 cents on the dollar. That provides capital to their capital stack. Yeah.
So I'm going to use a couple terms and understand I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer. The only reason I'm sitting in this seat is because none of these guys would do it. They made me do it. So this is on the historic registry. This building is.
It is not.
Okay.
No, what I'm saying is that because it has that outstanding status of rating system, that means it's eligible to be listed. It's just there's like a step that somebody needs to take, either an owner or community organization or something, to go through the nomination process. That ultimately goes to the state and then to the National Park Service, and they are the ones that finalize the listing in the National Register.
Okay, so not being on the historic registry is what eliminates the necessity or the requirement to follow any specific
Because it's just
rehabilitation
like
guidelines.
It's just like any other building out there.
It's
You
just a
can do
really cool
whatever
building.
You want to do with it without any other restrictions in place. So,
Okay.
correct.
All right.
It's just the use, I mentioned the use of those federal funds, if they use those historic tax credits, would then bring
Yeah.
some kind of review to the work that's being done. So.
Okay. So are you familiar with the prior use of that building as far as the people we purchased the building from?
I know that it was a funeral home at one time. I don't know if that's who you
Okay.
purchased it from, but.
Okay, no, it was someone else. Okay. Anybody else have questions for Mark?
No, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
I'll grab these off your.
Yeah, absolutely. So who's next to talk?
Weird. This one? We already have it.
Yeah, I think
We're
we
good?
already,
Yep, we got that one.
the packet that Adam gave us. Okay, thank you so much.
Adam's on top of it.
Presenting all of that very interesting information. My name is Jay, and I am here on behalf of BB Realty Partners, and we're a small locally owned commercial real estate developer. I am joined here by my partners in the audience, Matt Barton and David Bach, who you have all become quite acquainted with. So I'm happy to get some FaceTime with you guys and go over our proposal. We can go to the next slide. So soon after discovering the Ayers house, I learned that this property was quite the topic of concern for many of the locals here in town. And I combed through lots of social media posts and saw that these people were very desperate to save this building, to not see it be demolished, and to make some use of it, even trying to form their own cleanup committee who could go out and just keep maintenance on this property. So I realized that this was really important, really special to the people here in Fortville. We saw that this property was falling further into ruin, and the longer that it's vacant, the longer it just becomes, it meets its demise. So we put our heads together to come up with a really unique solution. We can go to the next slide. Can everyone hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Before we get into what the solution is, I really want to be transparent about our mission and our intentions. We want to preserve the charm of Fortville, and that means honoring its past while it evolves and progresses. And we want to provide something that's useful to the community to foster the community's engagement. You can go to the next slide. So Mark did a wonderful job explaining the historical significance and that national registry process. We're fully committed to seeing the process through and undergoing that application process so that it can be on the national registry, so that this historic piece of Fortville will remain protected. And as he said, we'd be eligible for certain grants and tax incentives. And then this will make this property a landmark here in Fortville and make it into a historic destination. So I know there were some questions about that outstanding rating, and I do have those criteria highlighted in the previous slide if you're interested in seeing that. But what exactly are the benefits for the town of Fortville? Economic revitalization. We want to amplify Fortville's culinary identity. We want to reinforce the town as a craft beverage destination. and provide commercial office space. We want to continue to promote historic preservation and maintain public parking. Most importantly, we want to increase family entertainment, community engagement, and best of all, we're here to provide a no-cost solution. To fully understand the journey we are ready to embark on, we got to understand where we currently are. So I have included some photos of the current state of the interior of the Ayers house. Go to the next slide. Overall, our vision is to transform this historic building into a vibrant gathering place where there can be connections and shared experiences. In doing so, there were certain elements and key performance indicators that we just were not willing to compromise on. Some of those are, it has to attract visitors to Fortville and be an economic driver for the town. We want something that's community driven, that's multifunctional, something that can provide a large event space, something that's interactive and recreational. We want it to be DORA aligned. And last but not least, something that is family and dog friendly because we are dog lovers. So we have the current state and we have our vision, but how do we get there? Close your eyes and let me take you on this ride of the Ayers House Reimagined. So first I'm going to talk about the first floor. I have to admit that this is a bit of a passion project because my partners are very passionate about alcohol in general, consuming and crafting. On the first floor, we're imagining a craft cidery where we would offer other local beverages on tap. During regular hours, this space would be a gathering space for all, young, old, a beautiful book library, board game library, so that there are some no-cost entertainment options, a space to study, to relax while your parents can relax while their kids are occupied, and even a space for local creatives to do an open mic night, live music, trivia nights. At other times, this space will serve as a rentable event venue.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. Go to the next. So here is just a floor plan of that first floor, and we'd be able to offer over 2,600 square feet of rentable space. Where else around here could host a wedding reception or a baby shower or corporate event at this scale? Most things that I found when I was researching this in Fortville, and when my search words were Fortville, it would always bring up the neighboring towns. So we want to keep things local, and we want the people of Fortville to have options here in town. Next slide, please. And here's just a visual inspiration board of the type of really special and unique environment that we are wanting to create, not just for Fortville, but I think for the greater Indianapolis area in general. We really want to complement and contribute to what Fortville already has, not necessarily compete. It has craft beverages, but does it have a cidery? It's got wonderful restaurants, but does it have Matt standing outside at a smoker making barbecue? It has a community center, but does it have an upscale event space of this size? We really want Fortville to be able to compete with those neighboring towns who have access to more infrastructure so that it keeps the people of Fortville here in Fortville, but also brings other visitors into Fortville. And going along with that same feel and vibe, the exterior, we really want to have an open air ambiance, community seating, open tables. This is a space that's designed for all, for people of all ages, so that the kids, mom and dad, granny, Sparky, everyone is invited, everyone is welcome. We'll have some interactive entertainment like cornhole, table tennis, giant Jenga, and we would love for the whole space to be illuminated at night with some beautiful Edison bulbs. This is a rendering from our architect, just to show you what we plan to do and keep some of the green space and where we would have some of the recreational games and public seating. The only option for games, I think, in the software was cornhole, so you're just going to see a lot of cornhole. You can go to the next slide. There's more cornhole. And the next, this is just a street view, and you know, we're going to, not much is going to change with the exterior facade of that building. So. And again, an inspiration board of the type of fun, interactive feel that we'd like to create. Even something like these heated, lit up igloos in the wintertime. And you know, I took some of these pictures from neighboring towns and from some of the offerings that neighboring towns have for their outdoor recreation. This is Matt's pride and joy. So there is an exterior garage that we want to convert into a walk-up barbecue restaurant. That way it is open to anyone, not just patrons of the cidery. Maybe you're at the farmer's market and you're hungry, you want to walk over, you want to bring your kids over, you want to grab some barbecue, or you can take it into the cidery. So this would be the walk-up barbecue restaurant. And then the other half of that garage, we will convert into the cider manufacturing. So this is just the layout of that garage. It's about 700 square feet for the cidery. For the second and third floor, we intend to turn this into 5 commercial spaces ranging from 285 to almost 700 square feet and provide a tenant lounge with kitchenette. We foresee the tenants being financial consultants, insurance agents, graphic designers, accountants, and really anyone who would enjoy working within close proximity to alcohol. I personally know that there is a need, there is a great need for commercial space here in Fortville. I've been contacted by at least 10 people in the last week and a half, and we have no more spaces to offer them. I keep adding them to my list and my spreadsheet, and I'm like, I'll keep you on there. I'll reach out to you if something comes available. And that's a great problem to have. These are people who are wanting to bring their business operations here to Fortville. And we want to provide this type of solution. So this is one of the rooms in the second floor. Just showing a rendering of the possibility. And this is actually the embalming room. Might come with a little disclaimer of a friendly neighborhood ghost. You know, you might think you see an apparition, but that's just the gorgeous sunlight creeping in through the windows there. And then this is just to give you an idea of those office spaces with public restroom and the shared tenant lounge. And then this would be on the third floor, which would be quite a large suite up there. So one of the greatest impacts that this project has on the town is economic growth. We want to bring more people to the community, and that's going to immediately increase the revenue. We'll be creating new jobs both directly and indirectly, and we would like to drive tourism and foot traffic to support all of the businesses here in Fortville. One thing that we're really excited about organizing is an annual craft beverage festival to bring people here to Fortville far and wide, so not just from here in Indiana. Next slide, please. Here's my gorgeous spreadsheet, and we've provided a conservative estimate of the additional tax revenue. This does not include any commercial tenant revenue, so that estimate is at 107,000 annually. Next slide, please. So what are the next steps? We need the town's support. We're ready to privately invest over $1 million into the prosperity of Fortville, with Fortville transferring this property to us. We are requesting that the town provide a formal letter of support for the National Historic Registry, and that you would continue the discussions about the Craft Beverage Festival. And we would also require a 6-month due diligence period. Next slide, please. I apologize. I am legally blind, so I am having to turn around to see some of these. We would also require some permitting guarantees and prior approvals as it relates to alcohol production and sales permits for the food service and commercial kitchen approvals, as well as zoning and special use and business operating approvals. Next slide, please. These are the lovely people behind the project, myself, Matt, and Dave, and our architect, Adam Lasota of Lasota Architects. I really appreciate the opportunity to speak with you guys tonight, and we're really excited about the possibility of partnering with the town of Fortville on this very special project.
Yeah, I have a question.
Sure.
On the support and next steps, you got the 6M due diligence.
Yes.
Explain to me the financial and structural feasibility. Has that been done yet?
No, it's not been conducted yet. So we would, once we have the other steps, then we would need the 6-month due diligence period.
I take it that would get done if we choose to transfer the property, or you're looking for something, you're gonna go out and spend money to put your financial backing and everything else together.
Absolutely. So we would need to do that research and make sure that this is going to be viable for us.
And Adam, for the reference that people that wasn't here, how much does the TIF district have in this property? Dollar wise?
Well, I think the cost was, I don't have it handy, but I want to say it was between 300,000 and 400,000 in that range.
550,000.
550. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
550.
Amy, we obviously know about your company from the renovation for the Harmony Dental practice, but have you taken on a project of this type in the past? If so, what type, or anything else like that that might help us understand things a little better?
We haven't taken on a project like this, but we do have experience now in renovating older properties. This type of project isn't unique to us. This actually goes on and occurs throughout the country. And I think that we do have a few examples, both locally and across the country, that we can provide to you guys. Mhm.
So if you haven't done a financial or structural feasibility, how have you came up with this proposal? If you don't know the structural feasibility? Because we had an owner of this that was going to do something with this, and he found out it wasn't feasible.
So you are?
So I'm David Bach. I'm also part of BB Realty, and my background is electrical and controls engineering. So from a structural perspective, we would want to get structural engineers in place to basically review the property on a professional level. My initial review, the basement allows us to put in columns to support the floor, which would allow for commercial usage on the main floor. And also looking through like some of the cut open holes from the previous owners, There's only a tiny bit of termite damage, but none of it actually went to the beams. So structurally, the building is sound. It's just a matter of seeing if there's something we don't see. We would have to get a structural engineer on board. And we've also had a structural engineer, for example, help us at the Harmony Dentistry office. So as you know there, we repoured 3 foundations and added 15 new piers because we had to make it restructured. So this time around, we would like to get a engineer in there early just to make sure that there isn't something we're missing.
So down the road, there's a possibility you could find out this is not structurally feasible.
Correct. So we're asking for the transfer, for the commitment to transfer, assuming our due diligence clears. Otherwise, we wouldn't transfer.
Are we talking more like a letter of intent or something like that? A
Something
formal
like
letter of
that, yeah.
intent that says, should these things line up, then there may be a willingness to transfer the property. Is that what I'm hearing?
Correct, because we would
Okay.
have to invest in that due diligence period.
Yeah.
And if, for example, you were to back out later, we would have money we put into checking it out that.
Understood. I think,
And just in terms of projects of similar size, I haven't done residential and this type of commercial, but I do have a lot of experience in multi-million-dollar industrial projects.
helpful to know. I just, wanted to kind of get an idea on that front.
So what Ed's referring to, if I can jump in, is the previous owner that we purchased the property from. Very affluent couple. Their intent was to do almost exactly the same thing, a boutique. I think they're gonna have a little bar, a private club on the 3rd floor. It was a nice idea. They purchased a building and then realized it was gonna be an excessive amount of money to bring the building up to code or up to snuff to operate.
So from a certain perspective, you're absolutely right, but I think the way we have it structured is a little bit different because the first floor is a passion project for us. That's something we admit from the get-go. The commercial real estate on the 2nd and 3rd floors, that's what's going to pay the note for the building. So we have that structure that we're able to play around with the 1st floor and get it to what we want it to be personally, while the 2nd and 3rd floor actually pays for the note on the building.
And that's where you'd go as you seek your financing for this, you'd go with that type of business plan in front of a financial institution or a lender saying, here's our plan, here's our pro formas and everything else, correct? Okay.
So your plan is for us to just sign the building over to you for layman's terms?
Essentially, yes. And then we would be investing into it.
Okay, I love that building. I think it's an amazing building. Anybody else have any questions?
Not now.
My thing is it's not my intent to lead this group other than lead the meeting. I personally would love to see something go in there. I love your idea. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'll never lie to you. Not a fan of giving away the $500,000 of town money and just handing the building over. Is there any other option?
With the costs that have to go into this, financially, it wouldn't make sense for us.
Which is where we get back to the Browns. I mean, essentially, they should have come to us and asked us for a couple $100,000 to help them fix the building up. And we could have done that, and then they could still own the
And
building and have moved forward.
That is one of the great things you guys offer as the facade improvement program. So
We don't offer a $500,000 facade improvement program. I have to say that. I think I would look to one of our audience members and pull her on the carpet here. I don't know what the path forward is. What do you think? I mean, I think this is a pretty sizable commitment that I don't think that this committee should make alone without the council. What would you say to an executive session or something like that to have a discussion, or what do you think? And please state your name for the record.
Tanya Davis.
And who are you with? Oh, the
I'm with
town council.
everybody. I've said before too, the previous project, I don't think it couldn't be done, but I think he had a limit as to what they wanted to spend. And they had another project that became more attractive and less cost. And that's what steered them away from that. It wasn't, they couldn't do it. I just don't think he wanted to put that kind of money in it. I don't have a problem, and we talked about this a lot, the commitment has to be, I feel like, I don't have a problem giving it to them. We're still going to have access to the parking lot. And the reason why I say that is I think it'll be a huge economic thing for the town. We don't have anything like that. So I feel like that's probably smart on our part. And it is an investment by the town to do that since we purchased the property to tear down. And I was all for that. You guys know that. But I, for one, was in, I'm sorry, I don't have no breath. The meeting with the landmark and changed my feelings about the property because I had no idea that it was even close to that importance. To me, it was a funeral home. Never meant anything more to me than that. So I wasn't attached to it like I am now, because now obviously it does have a place. People see it differently, and I see that too. And I think there's a way we can work through this. I don't have a problem doing it.
I think that's where the letter of intent comes into play. That
Yeah.
allows, all we're saying is there is an intent to do this. We're gonna put some terms.
Once,
in
at
there.
least half the council members I know didn't like the idea of tearing it down anyway. So I'm pretty sure that they'll be on board with that. Really, there was just two of us that thought it was probably okay to tear it down, which I was one of them. You know, so I don't think there'll be a problem with that.
Letter of intent.
Yeah. And I think they need to, I would like to see what they find out from the professionals too, as to whether they can get this done, you know, and get the real truth about the structure and everything else. I think it's wise for us to at least start down the path and take a look at it, but I don't.
disagree with that. And again, I'm one person out of five that makes the decision. This is not my decision, but I do have an opinion on it. And I agree with everything you said. I think this is a great project. I think
The town.
it could be a huge benefit to the town.
Yeah.
And I was an advocate for tearing the building down.
Yeah.
But I love that building. I would love to see somebody pick it up and move it somewhere.
Yeah.
And do something. with it. It's a cool building. Not a real big fan of playing cornhole with apparitions, but you know, whatever. Or I will agree that some insurance agents like to be close to alcohol. Haven't done it for a while, but I think it's a great project. Where I'm stuck is spending the $500,000 and then giving it away. And the next person coming, well, you did it for those guys. Matt's a great guy. We got him his barbecue place, which I'm expecting some good barbecue if this is where we head. But
Oh, you'll have some.
I understand. But what's to prevent the next person from coming and saying, look, you did this for Matt. You bought that building for $500,000 and I want you to go buy that building, give it to me so I can
I
renovate it.
think probably the next time we buy a property, we're probably going to do some legwork first and find out if it does have some kind of historical value more so than what we did this time. And then we'll know going into what we're getting into. I don't think any of us did that. And just because, and a lot of this stuff isn't on the National Registry, but obviously it had a grade that accommodates that to put it in,
Mhm.
So it was there. I think we just didn't, and I don't think it's a waste of money. But I think we have to also be real careful about the line, them being successful at what they're doing. We don't give them the property right away or a portion of it there. There's a lot of options there to make it look a little bit different, but they have to be able to present something to get their financial backing. And there's not a bank that's going to give them that if we're not committed.
Well, and I'm not a fan of them going out and spending a bunch of money and then we say, we changed our mind, or no, this isn't going to work.
Well, they'll find that out. They'll have to make the initial investment to get it looked at, but.
Well, it's going to take some money to get it figured out. And
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to have to take some risk.
And they will. I think they're prepared to do that.
I guess my comfort level comes from, I'm not, again, it's this committee. I'm only speaking for me. I would love to see it go. I'd love to see something happen there. I like both the ideas we've had. You and I were on the same page with this idea from the beginning.
Yeah.
Of tearing it down and making a parking lot. Hated it, but it is what it is. I struggle with making a commitment that we're just going to hand this building to you if everything works out for you. If there's caveats in there that there's other things we can do, whether it's, and I don't know all the solutions. This is my first time seeing the whole presentation. And again, I'm not the only one to make the decision here, but it's up to this committee what they want to do.
I think the president's point, make it simple, is he hates to give someone $550,000 of tax money.
Sure.
Yes.
Sure. I think it's his- But
You got some money?
We have we have the police here. We'll escort you out.
No, but I guess what I certainly understand the concerns about giving away an asset that you all paid X amount of money for, and I understand that. But what I'm hearing from their presentation is that once the business is up and running, it's going to be returning capital to the town that you're not going to get with a parking lot. You're going to get zero.
Right.
If the town owns it, that earns you nothing. And so if they're returning $107,000 a year over 6 years, 7 years, you're going to be back to zero at least. And it's going to keep earning beyond that, presuming the business is still up and running. Why would you not at least enter into that, as the gentleman on the end here suggested, a letter of intent, explore it? If it works, it's going to pay off for you. Is it a risk? Yeah, but I bet a lot of projects that come before you have some degree of risk. It's just managing the risk and lessening it to the greatest degree that you can.
I
So-
can't overemphasize how much I like the project. Where I'm stuck is that it isn't our money. And if it was a return on investment, why wouldn't we do that for every business owner? Buy the building and let them just pay us back in taxes. This is a unique opportunity. And it's a unique position this committee is in that it's not been in before. And I love the idea. I love that building. But when you leave here, you go home. When we leave here, we got to answer to the people in this town and say, what the
Well,
hell
no,
are you doing?
I understand. I respect that. Because I work in a lot of different communities and I understand that you all are still here. I guess just one other thing, just maybe as reassurance, is that there are a lot of local units of government that do provide a building or property as an asset to a project, that they recognize that that's going to leverage a much more significant investment into the community. So it's worth that incentive upfront to do that. And so.
For us, this is new territory.
I know,
Those
and I understand
communities
that.
have different money than we have. So
Yeah, and
it's
I
just,
understand that, and it may be unique, but my organization, I can speak to ourselves, has been in a position where we've received, now, we're a not-for-profit, that's different, right, than a for-profit entity like what they're talking about, but I've been, our organization has been the recipient of properties from numerous different communities that have basically turn them over to us for closing costs. And then we invest hundreds of thousands, if not more, depending on the need in the property, and hope that that in turn benefits the community as a leave behind. So anyway, I'll be quiet.
that's all right. Absolutely.
How much of this $107,000 comes to the town of Fortville versus the county and state?
Thanks, Tanya.
Like, if we're looking at 107, this isn't the town of Fortville's portion, right?
Please state your name.
Hello, Matt Barden, BB Realty. So this is all local tax income. So this is going to the town, to the county, to the schools,
Okay.
and to the state.
Right.
So I don't have that split up completely for everything. So I know for like payroll tax, I believe 3% of that is going to the state and 1.99% was local. I think it's going down to, Yeah, I think it's going down, yeah.
We wouldn't
We're
get
not
the
gonna spend
100.
Right, like the
Yeah.
107 isn't coming directly back
Before.
to the town of Fortville. This is
Correct.
dispersed among all taxing.
yes, that would be considered all local taxes for the
Okay.
district. So it would exclude all federal taxes, but it does include the other.
Do you foresee at this point, Matt, asking for a tax abatement?
No, so this is in lieu of a tax abatement. Like, as you mentioned, like there are other businesses that you've done tax abatements for. This is just a more creative way to do that. So it's similar in purpose, but the way we get there, I think it'd be beneficial to both you and to us.
And
And
no
then the-
facade money.
The other point I just wanted
I
to
guess it.
clarify too is that, Matt, the intent is that the existing parking area that's owned by the town that was purchased as part of it, that would still remain a town parking area for public use, correct?
Yes, that's correct. We would ask to be able to close off kind of the wraparound part of the
Sure.
building. So that can be, obviously for games and things like that, but
Sure.
that would remain public parking, everything else. Yes.
So the town still maintains that as a town property.
It's,
Survey that off. Survey that off, right?
right, we would split that off.
Yeah.
There was also some alley work that was gonna happen, I believe, right, Joe?
Yeah.
Does that, all of this fall in line with what the town utilities wanted to happen?
I think what they brought up at the last meeting, if they're willing to.
Right.
Did you see that?
Actually,
I did.
actually, as 550,000 we've spent, we'll retain probably what, 100,000 of it.
I'm sorry, what'd you ask, Ed?
Okay, we spent 550 for the total property, parking lot and building. If we give them money for the building, we should be able to deduct 100,000 because we still retain the parking.
You're saying the amount we're gonna give away is a little less.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the parking lot has value, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I'm just using round numbers,
Mhm.
50,000 of it.
Yeah, and 150,000 for that parking lot is probably not.
Now, I have
Crazy.
looked at comps for other buildings in similar states and, other areas of Indiana. Realistically, the building value is probably between $220,000 and $250,000.
Thanks for bringing up that we overpaid for the building.
Your words, not mine. Location, location, location.
Location.
Be, entertaining the 225,000 rather than the 550.
No.
Okay.
Question.
The other thing we'd have to think about is, the building's still there. So if it was gonna become a parking lot, I think we had quotes of upwards of 100,000 to remove it and fill it in and pave it.
Yeah.
So our spending
75 to 100.
our spending wouldn't be, it's
Yeah.
not over yet.
Yeah, we're not done. So the ask today is, is the letter of intent to say that we are going to absolutely donate the building to you?
It is to say that if I do my due diligence and I start investing that kind of money into a structural engineer, into a civil engineer and all those other specialists, that if at the end of that, I find out that it makes sense for me to move forward with this project, that it is my building. Yes.
I think I'd probably also want to know you're gonna be able to get your financing in place too.
Absolutely.
Hey all, this is Jacob Andersherm. I'm filling in for Alex Intermill tonight for the town attorney. So can you all hear me okay? I had an issue with my computer, so I'm on my phone. So can you hear me okay?
No.
Okay. How about now? Is it a little bit better?
No one
Okay.
talked.
Name up any? Having a hard time hearing you a little bit. Hang on one second.
Yeah. I was having some tech issues. Is this a little bit better now?
That's a little better, yes.
Okay. So as far as the RDC disposing of publicly owned property, so there's kind of a process by which that has to occur. And the first step would be getting the property appraised. And then to the extent that the RDC would like to dispose of the property, there's a public process by which that the town would have to undertake. So, we'd have to open up for, essentially an RFP process for folks who may want to potentially put a bid out. There's an ability for the town to kind of negotiate that and then to reject all bids and kind of decide what they want to do after all that goes. So it's not just, to the extent the town would want to enter into an agreement tonight or kind of moving forward. It's not just automatically, the RDC can dispose of the property without any further processes. So I just want to bring that to the board's attention, just so we're kind of all aware that there's additional processes that we have to follow pursuant to Indiana code in order to dispose of this property if the board would like to choose to do that eventually.
So there's nothing we can do right now tonight unless we have a letter of intent from you to give to them.
Would the step tonight be to give Bose, tell Bose to potentially draft a letter of intent as the next step? I'm just kind of throwing that.
So Bose and McKinley needs to adopt a letter of intent of what we're talking about before we make any decision on it.
I think potentially, I think somebody floated the idea of an executive session earlier about kind of working through the nitty gritty details about what might make sense, both for the town and also for the developer who's here tonight, just to kind of work through those details. So I think that kind of would be my recommendation tonight, would be maybe schedule an executive session to kind of talk about next steps as far as, what we want to do. I think we can maybe state that, it's the town's intent to kind of evaluate this further and kind of take the next steps into looking into this. But, as we sit here tonight, the RDC does not have the authority to just give the property away tonight.
Okay. So, you good with that? Okay. I like that idea because I still have a lot of questions that I don't think we can answer right here that we need you there to talk about.
I would love to be.
And my compliments on what you're doing with that building there. And I can't overemphasize how much I like this project. I'm not saying no, I'm just saying that we have people to answer to
I appreciate that, Scott.
when it comes to just giving crap away. I mean, if that's the way, hell, give it to me, I'll do something with it. But geez, now you talk. So if there's something you want, just let us know. We'll buy it and then we'll give it to you.
Okay,
So-
I'd like to make a motion that we have an executive session on this project and we involve what's your group's name?
Your realty partner.
B&B Real.
Peter, Realtor.
It would be a public session, so that, and I don't know, we need a motion to have that. I think we just need to agree we're gonna do it. Thank you though, Ed. I don't think that's required. So
Thank you.
you good with that?
Yes, sir. I appreciate it.
Perfect.
Okay.
Good job tonight.
Yeah, thank you all for your time and interest in being a part of Fortville. We're glad to have you.
Sorry, are you saying in a closed door executive session? The law?
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Landmarks, thank you for coming also.
Yes.
Appreciate it.
So I'm representing all the citizens that didn't come tonight. I think it's a great idea.
Please state your name.
Bob Starrett.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think that this is absolutely part of your mission. I think it's not a waste of your money, our money, the taxpayer money. I think it's a fantastic idea. I agree with you. And we're all for it. We, all the citizens of Fortville think it's a great idea. Ask anybody in here that's a citizen of Fortville. All right.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you, Bob. All right, moving on, item 5B, RDC consider facade repair grant from Jennifer Schaffter for 106 South Main. Hi, Jennifer.
Hi there. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Okay,
speak up a little bit, but
okay.
You want to walk us through the project or?
yeah, can you walk us through what you're looking for here, Jennifer?
We purchased a building a couple of years ago and we recently got at least to Prana Wellness. And as you may know, if you've seen the building, it's been in need of repair for the brick for some time. And we were just kind of waiting to have a tenant in there before we move forward with any sort of facade repair. And I know there's been a lot of interest in putting a community-based mural on the side of the building as it's positioned in a great place for that. So in order to do that, we really can't, it would make no sense for us to for us or for anyone to invest any kind of money in painting it or putting a mural up until we address the fact that a lot of the brick is falling off the sides and the front of the building. And we also wanted to address the fact that, you know, the parking lot that's adjacent to the building, there's apparently it gets hit, the building gets hit quite a bit with people backing into it or running into the front of it. Because there's no sort of pylon or whatever you call those things to stop people from doing so. So that has contributed to the disrepair of the building. So, and once the brick is repaired, obviously it would need to be fully painted, etc.
So I'm looking at 3 different quotes here that pretty wide range in price from 58,000 down to 26,000.
Yeah, and that wasn't the most expensive. I had one that was up to like 75,000. So it seemed to be all across the board. And I tried to do due diligence to find out, you know, what is different. Like is one, anytime there's a discrepancy like that, you kind of wonder what you're getting. And it really did seem like there wasn't any difference between what we were getting as far as the tuck pointing goes. It's a pretty straightforward process. Top-notch masonry, which was Neil Patterson, I think was his name, who was the owner of that. We were really impressed with him. Just seemed he came in the lowest. So, you know, we would feel comfortable, you know, having him take the project and move forward with it.
So, and I'm sorry, Jennifer, I had a little trouble hearing you. And Joe, I might need an answer from you. Are we going to do something along the building there to stop the cars from hitting that? Is there something we can do, or what's the plan for that?
We just brought it up as we noticed that had been happening. And I think the gentleman who proposed doing the artwork for the mural had said that when he previously owned that building or worked in that building, that he knew that people had been hitting it with their cars. So like just the little concrete barriers, I think at the bottom would be fine, just to stop someone. A lot of people we've noticed too, like they back into the parking spots and then they're just running into the building. So I don't think it needs to be anything huge. I don't know what you call those little concrete things.
So what's your, huh?
Joe, would you like to make a comment on that? Because I think it's going to interfere with the parking lot. The stops.
Joe Renner, Fortville Town Manager. I will tell you that there was stop blocks there before we paved it. We removed them to pave everything. And at that time, the wall was already banged up. So that tells me that those stop blocks really wasn't doing what they needed to do. Every car is different. Some are longer past the wheel wells. Trucks back in, they may have a trailer hitch or a ball hitch on the back. So the stop blocks would be kind of hard to set those to where nobody would hit the building without making the parking spots 10, 12 foot deep, and that's not deep enough there. If there was any way to put, may not be the prettiest, but maybe some kind of the concept of like a guardrail or something along the wall. That way, it doesn't matter what vehicle comes up, they're gonna hit that before they hit the building.
And that would be on the town to do. I mean,
Should be, yeah, it's town.
okay. So we don't need to worry about that with this proposal. Okay. Thank you, Joe.
I mean, it could interfere with whatever is proposed for the side of the mural. That would need to be taken into consideration, obviously.
Now, is that mural going to be from ground level to the ceiling or halfway up or what?
I don't know. There was supposed to be a proposal made by Adam would know his last name. His name was Mike. I'm sorry, I can't remember his last name. I believe he was going to have a proposal given to the town as well.
That's correct. So Mike McEvers put together a proposal. And if this moves forward with funding, then we'll move forward on the next step of the mural.
Okay, all right.
So at this point, we're just asking for facade money for the brick.
And Jennifer, you're wanting to move forward with top notch?
Yes, that would be my choice. I was very impressed with him.
You're asking for half of 26,000.
It was actually, there was, if you look at the estimate, there was a part that he put in there. On the side of the building, you'd have to take a look at it. I think there might be photos attached in one of the appraisals where there were two windows that had previously been bricked, that had been there, and they took them out and they bricked them up. And he, for $2,200 additional dollars, he said he could make those disappear, if you will. That way a mural would look more seamless and look nicer. And I think that seemed like a fair investment for
So
the
that's
aesthetic benefit.
You're looking for 14,100.
Yes, that would be, yeah, 20, yeah.
All right. I'll make a motion to commit 14,100 out of our facade budget for this project.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you.
The end results. Okay, on to new business. Item 6A, RDC to consider funding request from Captain Michael Schwamberger of Greenfield Police for a robot for the Hancock County Joint Tactical Team. I think, Chief, you were going to talk first, correct?
I got a big mouth. They're kind of soft-spoken.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I agree with you on the first part.
Yeah, I can believe that. As you guys know, I'm the chief. Reason being here is really, I'm requesting funds to not only help the town of Fortville, but to help the Hancock County Joint Tactical Team, which we have members of. Our officers are trained with them. We train with them. They do all of our active shooting training, things like that. And then when we need help, that's who we call. We call those guys. Really, the request and the need of this, going back in 24 years of law enforcement, that we never had anything like this. If we wanted to get through a door, we grab a sledgehammer. And I remember one particular night I was in an apartment upstairs on Main Street trying to get into a door because there was a violent domestic. I didn't have a sledgehammer. I started knocking on doors. Who's got a hammer? Who's got a hammer? And I finally found somebody that had a sledgehammer in their house, and I was able to get in the door and grab the female out of there that was being assaulted. But that's a problem. You know, in today's technology world, things change so fast. I mean, my phone's 1.5 years old, but they call it a dinosaur. I'm okay with that. At least not a flip phone. But I remember one night, Mike used to work in McCordsville. Mike and I were on a call and we couldn't get in the door, and he kind of headbutted the door with his whole body and went through. And that's ever since. And I kind of called him Bam Bam. But we're looking for things that we can work smarter and not harder. And with technology today, there's definitely things out there. So I'm a member of the FBI National Academy, the International Association of Chiefs of Police, and the Indiana Association of Chiefs of Police. Every month I get a newsletter. Every month it's about technology. I just got the new one from the international one, Spain, Portugal, everywhere. They're talking about, you know, using drones as first responders instead of police officers. They go and evaluate the situation and come back. So you got somebody just sitting there flying a drone all day. They talk about all these things, and that's where we're going to. Maybe not in Fortville very fast, but we're getting there. But there's definitely a need for the technology. So, and Scott would probably tell you, a long time ago, I realized that if I'm not the smartest person in the room, I'm good with that, because I need to find the guys that are smarter than me to be in that room. And that's these two guys. I'm gonna let them kind of take over the presentation because they understand all of it a lot more than I do. I just understand the need. And I want my officers and the town, the people in Fortville and the people in Hancock County to have the best equipment and technology that we can afford. So this is Captain Mike Schwamberger. He's with the Greenfield Police Department. This is Detective Sergeant Dave Wood. He's with the Hancock County Sheriff's Department. Mike is the team commander for the Hancock County Joint Tactical Team, AKA the SWAT team. These are the guys we call when we need something, when we're in trouble. So I'm gonna let them take it over and go from there.
Good evening. As Chief Bratton stated, my name is Michael Schwamberger. I'm the commander of the Hancock County Joint Tactical Team. It's also known as the Hancock County SWAT Team. Just a little bit about me. I've been in law enforcement for the last 24 years. Of those 24 years, I've served on the SWAT team for the last 15. The last 15, I've served as a commander of the last 8 years. So with me today is my team leader, Dave Wood. I'll let him introduce himself.
Hi, everybody. My name's Dave Wood. I'm with the Hancock County Sheriff's Department.
Been working here in the county since 2012. Currently assigned to our investigations division, range master of the Hancock County Range. Run a lot of our firearms training at the sheriff's office. Been on the SWAT team since 2013. So we've got a PowerPoint presentation kind of outlining the piece of equipment that we brought with us today. Kind of explain who we are, what we do, and why this is a piece of equipment that we will rely on. So this is us, guys. This is a portion of our team. This is from 2023 Indiana SWAT Challenge. We sent a couple teams up to Delaware County. We had taken part in this challenge for the past several years. For a few years, it was up in Camp Atterbury. We actually won the Indiana SWAT Challenge in 2023. It was basically an open invite to any area SWAT teams, state of Indiana, outside the state of Indiana. We went up there in 2023 and had a good showing. This is a few of our members pictured here. The next slide. A little bit about who we are. We are a multi-agency team. We're made up of officers from all over Hancock County. We're called for critical incidents, mainly high-risk warrant services, barricaded people. If we've got somebody in a house that's not willing to come out for whatever reason, we're called out to those types of scenes, hostage incidents, dignitary protection. We've had a few of those. If we've got a politician coming to town, we're called to work sometimes with the Secret Service to provide dignitary protection for those individuals that come to our communities. Surveillance details, we work some moving surveillance tactics where if we have an individual that we may need to follow, observe, maybe a high-risk individual, we'll work on some surveillance details or moving surveillance details. We conduct bi-monthly training. So we train every first and third Wednesday. We have a whole training. We have our training laid out for the year, just the checkpoints that we need to hit and train on throughout the year. So we train quite a bit. And like I said, we're made up of a multi-agency team.
With the multi-agency team, currently we have 7 agencies within Hancock County that has officers and or medics that are part of the team. Currently, we have Greenfield Police Department, Hancock County Sheriff's Department, New Palestine Police Department, Fortville, Cumberland Police Department, and then we have medics from the Greenfield Fire Department. We currently have Vernon Township Fire Department seeking information about potentially joining us as well. We do serve all of Hancock County as part of our memorandum of understanding for our team. We're not just limited to Hancock County. We will go assist the other counties surrounding us if there's a need for tactical equipment or operations or officers. We've been out as far east as Flint, Indiana on an active shooter where 2 police officers were shot. We were called out there at Indiana State Police request for armored vehicle and robots out there. So, but we primarily serve Hancock County.
Breaking down those agencies, if you get the next slide, sir. Fortville Police Department, his slide, we actually had a new one put on yesterday. He's in the 3-day SWAT school right now, but currently we have Art. He's an operator. Phil Allen, he's in the support role, and then Dustin Pruitt, he's actually in the 3-day SWAT school right now. So we host an in-house 3-day SWAT school. When we have an officer want to try out for the SWAT team, we have a process that they go through. And if they are selected for the SWAT team, we put them through an in-house 3-day SWAT school to kind of get them up to speed on some of our tactics. Obviously, we're not going to teach everybody something in 3 days, but we do have an in-house school that we send all of our operators to, and then to the FBI SWAT school after that. So he's currently there. He's not listed on the slide, but next slide, please.
With the Hancock County Sheriff's Department, we currently have team leader Dave Wood, a squad leader, what we call a squad leader, Cody Harris, Anthony Forsey, Aaron Forsey, Ben Walker, Garrett Lowe, Josh Coker, James Hennigan, Matt Kelly, and Jake Lewis. As you'll see on there, kind of after their name, that's kind of the capacity they serve in is operator, or if they have a specialty, they serve in that specialty role. All of our officers on the team are cross-trained in all of our equipment, everything from robots to our tactical vehicles to any chemical weapons that we have. Everybody's cross-trained in everything we have.
Excellent. Greenfield Police Department, obviously we got Michael Schwamberger, team commander. Justin Jackson, squad leader. Operators consist of Zach Schultz, Jared Davis, Ryan Moorfield, Brennan Watson, Anthony Butts.
Preston Crafton, and then a support role member from GPD, Dylan Silver.
From New Palestine Police Department, we have Jesse Wally, who's our assistant team leader, and then Wade Whitaker, who's an operator.
Cumberland Police Department, Landon Hartley, currently on the support role.
From Greenfield Fire Department, Travis Varga with ICOL serving as a medic.
And that's a big thing for us. It's nice to have 2 paramedics on scene, or at least one during a call out in the event that that's needed. So super grateful to have the support of their fire department. Coorsville Police Department, his slide, like I said, is not updated. We do have a McCoorsville officer currently in our 3-day SWAT school. Jason Pells is currently in school. A little bit of who we serve, just kind of our towns broke down, Cumberland, Fortville, McCoorsville, New Palestine, Greenfield, and then the county. Totals, if you hit the slide, 92,500 approximately citizens that our team serves right here in Hancock County. So we service all these counties. Like I said, we're made up of officers from all of these listed here on the screen, and wherever there's a SWAT call out, we'll go to that town, city, county. So.
Kind of why the need for our robots, or why we're here proposing the purchase of tactical robots. The robots we currently have, we purchased through a dealer that dealt with Robotex. Robotex is no longer in business. They went out of business a few years ago. A lot of their parts are proprietary parts. So when we got the robots, they were used, they were demo robots. The full story behind those, we actually purchased the robots from a dealer and found out from the company the robots were stolen. So through working with the company, we had found out that they had a sales rep that actually stolen quite a bit of their equipment and had gone to area suppliers to dump the robots off. So, but when we got the robots, they were very aged. They served us really well. They're kind of a standardized piece of equipment for us. These robots serve in a capacity where it minimizes our exposure in going up in somewhere, especially with a barricaded individual, to get eyes and ears on what's going on, maybe inside of a structure. But our robots now, they're worn out. They're estimated 15+ years old. Again, at this point, there's no software updates. The technology that they use, that we get very, very bad signals when we do send them in. So their capacity is very limited on how close we have to be with the actual controller controlling the robot to where the actual robot actually is.
Some of our agency contributions, like I said, we're made up of multi-agencies. Not going to read them all, but we've got Hancock County Sheriff's Department, Greenfield Police Department, obviously 2 larger agencies in the county that have members on the SWAT team. And I think that's kind of reflective with the number of officers that we have from each agency. Larger agencies, more officers. But Hancock County Sheriff's Department provides a lot of our vehicles. You probably have seen our MRAP, which is our heavy armored vehicle that we use on our call outs. You've probably seen it at some of our PR events as well. I know we've been up here in Fortville several times. But a lot of our vehicles, our fuel for the operating of the SWAT team comes from the Hancock County Sheriff's Department. The Sheriff's Office provides a lot of our facilities, our range, training room. A lot of times our briefs are either at the Sheriff's Office or Greenfield, since it is kind of centrally located. The annual monetary contribution, that's from every agency that in the county that has an individual on the SWAT team. There's a yearly contribution that they make to our individual SWAT budget. We have K9 officers, drones, and 1 hostage negotiator that comes from the sheriff's, 2 hostage negotiators from the Sheriff's Office. Same thing with Greenfield. They provide us with some of our unmarked surveillance vehicles in the event that we need those. They also provide the vehicle maintenance to our vehicles. So our MRAP, if we need, it's a big, heavy vehicle. Their city garage mechanics maintains those vehicles for the SWAT team. Annual monetary contribution from Greenfield Police Department. They also provide the training and the equipment to our team medics, so they're actually certified as police officers through a 40-hour pre-basic program. So they are not only paramedics, but they have the certification as a reserve status officer, so they can carry a firearm and have arrest powers. So they provide and upkeep that annual training that they have to do to maintain their police officer certification. Next slide, please.
Currently, other contributions, New Palestine Police Department, they provide support in K-9 area. Again, annual monetary contribution. They also have a negotiator that's assigned to the team to come out when there's a hostage negotiator requirement. Fairmont Police Department, they provide the annual contribution as well as McCoursville, Fortville as well provides K-9. Officer Archer comes out in the capacity for K-9 anytime we need K-9 support. And then Greenfield Fire Department, they provide our 2 team medics. The biggest thing with 2 team medics is they're there on the scene with us. Most traditional fire departments, they won't come in what they deem as a hot area until it's secure. With having actual medics on the team, they'll come in and they're with us wherever we go while that suspect is being apprehended.
These things we touched on in these last 2 slides, those are kind of the tangible contributions that each of these agencies brings to the team. I think one of the major things that you may not be able to measure is the training that we get at SWAT training. In Indiana, it's required that law enforcement officers have 24 hours a year of continued training to maintain their certification. With us training twice a month, 2 8-hour trainings, we're getting an additional 192 hours of training in addition to our regular department training. So I think that's a good thing to note because the majority of our officers on our SWAT team are instructors at their department. They're certified instructors through the Indiana Law Enforcement Academy, so they're able to teach at the academy. They're able to teach the officers at their respective agencies. And quite frankly, a lot of the people on our team are students of law enforcement. Like they want to continue to learn. Whether you're a firearms instructor, you want to continue to learn the best tactics, the best, best practice for whatever it is that you're doing. So I think when you get a lot of those people together, being able to take that stuff back and teach our road division, teach our, patrol cops, those tactics, I think that's a big benefit of having officers on the SWAT team. I know 2 of your new guys, Phil Allen and Art, are currently awaiting going to instructor development so they can be instructors here at the Fortville Police Department. So having them at training, that extra 192 hours a year is super beneficial for not only them, but the officers of the Fortville Police Department.
So again, why a robot? Just kind of highlight the needs of the robot. We utilize these for communication, negotiation with suspects. We've resolved incidents where we've had barricaded individuals where we've been able to push a robot in, actually communicate back and forth with that person without having to expose risk to officers having to go in to that person's what person's barricaded at. Again, situations that are that we deal with, including but not limited to, it's going to be hostage situations, barricaded persons, high-risk warrant service, dignitary protection, surveillance details, and then we also do quite a bit of public relations. On average, we do close to 24 PR events throughout the year, each year throughout Hancock County. And then the biggest thing is officer safety. So these robots go in, we operate on what's called a priority of life matrix. So we put hostages first, citizens second, our safety third, and then suspects below us. So if we have somebody that's barricaded and we want officers to go home at the end of the night, we're going to deploy a robot in there to essentially gain communication or get sight of a suspect without our officers ever having to actually go into the house. Like I said, we've resolved several incidents by introducing a robot, establishing communication with the suspect somewhere, and let our crisis negotiators talk that person out. So the value to us is paramount. So we operated without a robot for years. Once we start seeing the population growth in Hancock County, we saw a need for them. And for several years, we relied on state police and Indianapolis Metropolitan Police Department to come out and assist us with robots. But we were waiting on anywhere from an hour to 2 hours while these robots were en route to us and then actually get deployed on scene. In that hour, 2 hours, we don't know if the suspect's in there possibly hurt or now this person needs medical aid. So we saw a big delay on needing to get in somewhere versus, the safety of the robot. Next slide, please.
A little bit about the company, just real brief. Transcend Robotics, based out of California. However, they do have a facility in Kokomo, Indiana, just down the road. 14-day turnaround on repairs or replacement, which is super convenient, especially with them being in Kokomo. So that's one of the things that really kind of steered us towards Transcend Robotics. Additionally, we've got one of the units here from Anderson Police Department that they lent us for the evening, just so we could actually have it here to show it to you. Kind of hesitant to fire it up and drive it around without having the training, driving their robot around. I know the proposal today includes some training, so we do have it here if you'd like to see it. And we'll get in a little bit further. That's the Vantage robot, but this is a considerably larger unit than we have now.
No. I'm not tall enough.
That's good. It's good.
It's a robot.
Yeah, we got some good control what it was in the case here. But there's some attachments that will go on to this, hot gas delivery, breaching system, some miscellaneous stuff, but that's just a little bit of what Transcend Robotics is. Get the next slide, please.
So the Mini Vantage robot, the proposal asks for 3 robots altogether. So the package is 3 robots. The first robot is called a Mini Vantage. It's a very small, maneuverable. It's up to 250 plus feet of non-line of sight, up to 1,000 line of sight communications. It's able to be quickly deployed. The difference between that robot and the larger Vantages is basically its size and its capabilities to go into confined spaces. So your crawl spaces, your attics, that robot is actually throwable. So we can throw it in without having to expose ourselves in a doorway. We can throw that robot into a second story. We're having trouble gaining access from the first level, again, to get eyes on a subject. All these robots are equipped with IR, so they can see in the dark. They also have communication where once we identify where maybe a hostage is, a suspect, or a victim, if we have victims on scene, we can go find those people. This is just kind of a product video from Transcend Robotics of the mini robot. Hopefully this plays. We had some issues earlier.
Some really cool music playing in the background, if you could just imagine it in your head.
Already done.
But again, it's a much smaller platform than what our larger robot is. The problem with the larger robots is if we get into confined spaces, if we get a lot of objects that are in the way, the capability of the larger robot sometimes is hindered just due to the size.
Vantage robot, that's the one we have here. That's kind of the main one. 600-foot line of sight, 2,500. 600-foot non-line of sight, 2,500-foot line of sight communication. That's what we run into a lot with our current current robot. Is just that connectivity that we have. I don't know if it's just the aging technology. We're not unable to send it in to see what exactly the problem is. That call out that Mike was referencing in Lynn, Indiana, with the active shooter, we had been called for our armor because they needed an armored truck there because there was obviously some police officers shot and they didn't have that. But we tried to use our robots. We drove around in the house and had really bad connectivity issues, and they were essentially unusable just due to the communication. And we've run into that some, but we're hoping to get that better connectivity between the robot and the remote and the screens so we can see what's going on.
I was going to say with that Vantage robot, what you don't see here, we might have that on the product video. There's an attachment that's in this proposal. Okay. It's affixed to the middle of the robot. It's called a hot gas delivery. What that means is the chemical munitions that we use on the team. And the purpose of the chemical munitions is to change the environment inside to get somebody to come out to us under our terms and under safe conditions. So the problem we've had historically with using chemical munitions is for our capabilities, they either have to be hand thrown through a grenade or they have to be shot through what's called a 40mm launcher. So if we get somebody that's in a basement, that's in the middle of the house, a lot of our call outs are in urban environments and the houses are very close. So our capabilities to get gas in the middle of the house or down in the basement it's really hard. So that's when we have to compromise our safety a lot of times. Opposed with this, we're able to drive around. Now we can gain access to the middle of the house and we can deploy chemical munitions a lot safer.
We've got a video on that chemical munitions. This is just a quick video, product video of the Vantage robot. Play that for us.
I think it probably has cool music behind it too.
Right.
Did you want to throw some singing in with it or?
You don't want me to do that.
You're right, I don't.
And hold up the handle.
Oh.
Over 100-pound carry capacity. 3 cameras, including a powerful pan tilt 24 times zoom. Long duration runtimes, usually 90 minutes constant and 8 hours idle. Ability to raise the camera to look high. Shifts and beds. Superior wall signal penetration. Consistent reach with 1,000 foot range, unobstructed, 400 foot obstructed. Sleep this water resistant. Stairs easily and automatically. Audio, including the pan tilt zoom, a FLIR camera, and independent drive. Improve safety. That's plan.
Yeah, so that's that one. The speaker phone is something that we use a lot too. It's got 2-word speaker on our old one. We can push to talk, we can also hear. That's helpful. We go into a house and somebody's not wanting to come out, we can at least talk with them. Most everybody has a phone, but somebody shuts it off. That's another way to send something in, try to talk to them. Just another video on the hot gas delivery system. I don't think this is a long one, but we can run a quick video on this it goes into it a little bit further. Like Mike was saying, that's the gas that we deploy into the house to get people to come out to us. So what's inside of that container is a tri-chamber. They're actually flammable. So that's going to help reduce a lot of liability, having it inside of that steel container where it's not going to burn a house down. We have to be really, really careful about where we deploy certain flammable munitions. The tri-chamber.
Pyrotechnic.
Yeah, some of them are flameless, but some of them are pyrotechnic that can be flammable.
Currently, what we have in that capacity is a handheld, it's a grenade. It's on a pull system, but the officer actually has to get close enough to deploy it. Like I said, we're just where we're able to deploy it is usually from the exterior of a house. Where we're hindered is getting into the middle of the house or down in basements. The next robot that this package includes is a breacher robot. This is a one of a kind. Transcend Robotics is kind of the only ones right now with a breach robot of this capacity. It's going to breach most residential, commercial, and metal reinforced doors. It's over 9,000 pounds of spreading and 2,000 pounds of pushing force. So there should be a video that highlights that. And what this does, again, it minimizes risk to us to actually go up and manually open a door via a ram or a Halligan tool. So opposed to exposing our officers, we can push this robot.
Is that a separate unit or is it attachment?
That is a separate unit.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yep.
Or a mule kick. Yeah.
And where this would be used would be like a barricaded person. Obviously, if somebody's in danger, we're gonna go up and open the door however we have to. But if a lot of our calls are barricaded people that are either have a warrant, don't want to come out, or maybe they're self-harming, whatever, we will, when we have time on our side, this is where something like this would be used. Kind of like a reverse log splitter, it spreads the door apart. Sure, it damages it, but a lot better than.
But again, it minimizes the risk for our officers. A lot of our barricaded subjects that refuse to come out under typical commands, a lot of those times when we go in, we do find signs that they've prepared for a fight. Usually we'll find weapons laid around the house. They'll barricade certain items in the house. So a lot of our true barricaded individuals, they prepare themselves for a fight. So if it's something that we had to manually breach the door, that's time that officers are at that door trying to get in that door, that they're exposed to gunfire, potential gunfire.
Okay. Wrapping up in the last couple slides, just
So we do have a memorandum of understanding for the team. That's any agency that's a part of the team. This section in particular, this defines that any purchased equipment for the team in the event the team would disband or that agency is no longer able to contribute due to financial issues or just manpower issues in general, that piece of equipment, this is where it states it goes back to that agency.
So the robots are a property of Fortville.
Correct. Okay. As far as maintenance and repairs to the robots, outside of the proposed, the purpose that we're here proposing, any costs that would be associated with that, if it's a maintenance issue or something breaks, we would not be coming back to you to repair that item. That's going to be paid for out of the joint fund that we get as annual contributions from the agencies.
Okay. Anybody have any questions for these gentlemen?
Take it, this is specialized equipment, so like, unlike other things, we're required to get 3 bids. I take it this is so specialized, we go to the sole source provider on this.
It is.
Yes.
It's such a specialty
Yeah,
item that there's no way to get 3 bids.
And I'd be concerned about the other
yeah.
ones you might
I
be
mean, you
getting
could
if
go
they're
get-
out there.
Some things, but they're not going to be the exact. You're not going to be able to compare apples with apples or oranges with
You
oranges.
want the right tool for the right situation.
Right.
You're looking
And
at
with it
exploiting.
being a local distributor in Kokomo, that was kind of the part of the leaning point that way. Is if we ever have issues, throw them in a van, drive them to Kokomo and we're done instead of ship them to wherever.
No, that makes sense too.
And Chief, you can probably assume this question's coming. Have we checked based on history that there's no stolen equipment available anywhere that we can pick up cheaper?
If you got fund that reaches this, these would be built by the company for us. They probably wouldn't be a used item.
Special or.
It doesn't hurt to ask. I mean, if you're getting charged of, receiving stolen goods is receiving stolen goods, I guess, yeah. Well,
Have we purchased or donated or purchased any equipment for the joint task force? Or this will be the first time we've done
This
this?
will be the first time. We have never purchased. The only thing I've ever come here to ask was for AEDs a couple years ago. those would
It
still
seems like an
work
important
great.
thing to have for us.
It
as a
is.
County.
It's one of those things where, you know, we may not use it all the time. Fortville may not use it all the time. Greenfield, McCoursville, nobody's gonna use it all the time.
Got it.
But if there ever is a need for it, I'd rather a robot,
Yes.
you know, go beat on a door and take rounds through the door than one of my officers. You know, I got two of them that go on the calls. You know, I got my K-9 officer and my SWAT officer back there. Last thing I want is have to go tell any of their families anything bad.
Yeah.
I want to say, yeah, robot got shot. We're gonna ship it to Kokomo this week compared to, hey, unfortunately, one of your people had a bad day.
Since 2014, since I've been appointed to the command structure of the team, we've had 89 activations. We've used we've used the team for an operation. The robots and equipment we do have, the robots, when we did get those, they are a standardized piece of equipment for us. They're utilized or at least prepped on every call out we have.
And another use they don't really show is specialty equipment if somebody's hurt. You know, if somebody's hurt in a building and we can't get in that building, we can go drive a tourniquet in or go drive, you know, a AED. And if nobody forgot to bring their AED and it's a hot situation.
So part of our MOU and policy and procedure, we're also used for natural disasters. If we can come out and utilize our armored vehicles to help open up roadways or utilize some of our specialized equipment to aid in victim assistance, we do that as well. We've gone out for the fire department on fires in the middle of winter just to provide a bigger vehicle with warmth. So we don't just come out in SWAT capacities for certain things. We come out for others as well.
And Ed, I know you talked about inviting Vernon Township as the medics. We met with Mark, the three of us did. He's got to run it through his legal team, but they have a lot of their medics, paramedics, EMTs that are interested in joining the team. They just have to get it cleared through the township's legal first.
Good.
So-
Before we go any farther, I want to abstain from any conversation on this or voting because of personal conflict of interest.
Jacob, can you, do you see any concerns relating this to benefiting the TIF district and those using those dollars?
The statute broadly says that we can expend TIF funds for police capital purchases. It doesn't specifically limit it to, you know, it has to be, you know, Fortville Police Department. So provided that this board believes that this provides a benefit to the TIF district, then I believe that you could approve this. And I think we just need to note, to the extent this board would like to approve it, just that it was a single source of supply for this particular piece of equipment that's specialized. And so just we want to note that to the extent this board wants to approve it.
And I think that was part of my question is, it is an asset of the town. It does belong to Fortville, while it benefits a larger community. It is an asset for us, and that's what we are permitted to use the funds for. So, does anybody else have any questions for these gentlemen?
Yeah, I was, I'm a little disappointed. I was hoping to see it punch a hole in the drywall today, but,
Can you swing by his house on the way?
I could see where that would be frowned upon. General question on like this device, like how indestructible is that? Because what the videos don't show and what I could foresee happening was if somebody had a weapon, they would probably fire the weapon at the machine or at the robot or take something or throw something at it.
So you've seen battle bots?
I have seen battle bots, yes.
Okay, they're pretty, I mean, besides some of the outside components, they're pretty well resistant. I mean, if somebody's got, you know, an IED or a stick of dynamite, nothing's
Sure.
but pretty well resistant to most.
Built
if
for
somebody
the
takes
job.
a sledgehammer to it, okay.
But you can shoot it a bunch of times and it's still.
I don't know. Shooting it?
They're capable, ballistic wise, there is no really ballistic rating to it. I know they've used examples of, they've had suspects actually douse them in gasoline, catch them on fire. They still operated, sure they've had to fix some stuff, but they are very durable. I know for us, we've had equipment damage in the past in call outs, and our prosecutor's office is here, has been wonderful about going after restitution with suspects through court, through civil proceedings or criminal proceedings to recoup any damages that we get. So we would still go down that route if we did have any damage that was caused by a suspect. That's something certainly that we would go to our local prosecutor and seek restitution through criminal proceedings or civil.
All right. Make sure not to shoot the robot.
Yeah.
All right.
A very thorough presentation. You guys answered a lot of my questions. Last question, what are you doing with the old ones? I'm thinking Christmas presents for the boys.
They're to the point. We have two right now. One is just kind of a hide and seek that it basically goes and seeks out a person that was looking for. The other one actually has an arm, so it can open and close doors. But it's such a poor state now that it really doesn't work well. The grip strength of that robot, it's not what it used to be. So its conditions pretty bad. The screen we have, our one device no longer works. There's no software updates. We can't get anybody to work on it. So we have one controller for both robots and the screen on it. We can't use it out in sunlight. That the screen is so dim, we have to be inside of a vehicle somewhere or in shade if it's a daytime operation. You can't even see the screen anymore. So
Probably keep them as a secondary.
Yeah, say how do we get rid of them?
Take them to the scrap yard, yeah.
Yeah, that'd be good. Let the kids come out and drive them at library stuff or Summerfest
Maybe
or.
there's a department looking for stolen equipment. You know? So any other questions for this gentleman? Chief, your request is, your ask is for 160,500?
What was on the quote? Yes, sir, please. That would cover the three, that would encompass all three with the hot gas delivery system, the door breacher, and then the mini, which is like the quick throw and go, the first one they showed.
that also includes an 8-hour training company. They'll fly somebody in, and they'll spend 8 hours with us, training us and certifying us.
And that's a train the trainer type of thing. So the people involved in that can go out and teach.
Oh, okay.
We wouldn't have to call anybody else. And that is a one-time expense that I'm asking for, please.
I'd like to make a motion to approve purchase of the robotic equipment from the sole source provider, $160,000.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Ed and I have abstained because we are on the police commission. So that is 3 votes for yes and 2 abstain. The motion passes. Thank you for your time, gentlemen, and appreciate your service. Okay, moving on to item 6B, Façade Repair Grant request from David Back of Harmony Dentistry. Name sounds familiar.
Feel like you've been here before.
Good to see you all again.
Please state your name.
David Bach from BB Realty.
Sorry.
Oh, you're good. I'm used to it.
What are we looking for, David?
So, if you all remember, a couple months ago, we came for a facade grant for Harmony Dentistry and 401 South Merrill. So currently, we're in the process of doing all that. We're done with 401 South Merrill. We're getting pretty close to finishing 406 South Maple. As part of that rezoning that we did rezone 411 South Merrill as a commercial property with the caveat that it not be torn down. Originally, we were going to use it for parking. So as part of that rezoning, we added it to our plan as a phase 3 and decided to convert it into a commercial office space. We actually have a vet that is moving into town, and they signed a lease with us for that building once it's completed. So what I came to ask the board for is a facade improvement grant for the siding and roofing to repair that building, and it'll look similar to the other buildings that we've already done on that property. It'll just be a different color.
You couldn't find another pizza place to rent the space? So your ask is for half of 59,340?
Yes, sir.
How much money do we have in this right now?
We can expand it.
Was the roof already replaced?
The roof was already replaced, yes. It's part of our plan to make that area what it is.
Thought I saw roofers out there the other day.
So you're asking us for 29,670. Adam, where are we at on, one of the members had a question on where are we at on, what did we just set aside 50,000, didn't we?
Yeah, it should be reflected on the
I know Amy's been spending money like crazy.
spreadsheet here.
That's what we're supposed to do.
So I guess our question is,
So
how
the-
much do we have in the RDC fund for facade program?
You have 42,359 change
Minus 14.
minus 14,1 that you just authorized earlier today.
And there's nothing says we can't.
No, you can add more money to that as.
Yeah.
you wish.
Yeah.
What's your math base? How much you got left?
Said we have.
Okay.
Which is enough.
No. You need 29,000.
We had 58.
Close.
Super close. All right. So how much do we want to move?
The motion that we move 50,000 into the RDC facade program.
Second.
Look at that guy spending money like crazy.
Quick.
Yeah. I have a motion and a second to move an additional 50,000 into the facade program. Any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Welcome back. You got it.
$670 for this facade improvement.
Second.
Motion and a second for 29,670. Assuming our math is correct, it is half of 59,340. Any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you all.
Thanks, David.
What was
Thank you for continuing to.
29,670. If my math is correct.
Okay.
Better be.
Review of financials. Any comments from the board?
A motion that the financials be approved as written.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the financials. Any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Now we're looking for approval of invoices. We have 3. Adam, can you refresh our memory? What was EACI?
EACI was for the asbestos abatement for the homes that were recently demolished.
Oh,
South Madison project. And then the Veridus invoice is for that developer roundtable, of which you authorized in February. The full amount is 13,500. This is they haven't finished the project yet, so this is a partial invoice.
And then we need to approve the payment of the open box? That's a facade?
That's correct.
Okay.
So that one, can you hear me okay? I don't-
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, that one is for 401
Dentistry.
South Merrill. And the amount that you committed for that one was $11,023
There's
back
that name
in
again.
December. And so I do have pictures of the before and after if you'd like to see those.
And we've probably all seen.
Yeah.
Driven by it.
Okay.
So my question is, we approved 11,023, but this invoice shows 45,000. What's the disparity there?
Must have had overage.
Want to join us again?
Please.
David Bach, BB Realty. So for that one specifically, we originally had vinyl quotes and I already awarded which contractor will be doing the building. So I did not want to go back for hardy quotes. So we agreed that we'll pay the difference for the hardy. And then we also had a change order along the way, which increased the cost significantly. But that's where we're at on that one.
Okay. So you were clear on this before everything,
Yes.
you're all set. Okay. Okay. Thank you, David.
Thank you.
So we're paying 11,000.
Yes.
Okay.
So we just need to approve invoices.
I'll make a motion to approve invoices as presented.
Second. Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Public comment.
Really quick,
Oh,
I
sorry.
just got a quick question for Jacob on payment of that. So David Bach had submitted this invoice showing that it's been paid, and the payment was, he took out a loan for the project, for the job. So the loan, and he showed me the paperwork, we have that showing that he secured the loan. So I'm assuming it's acceptable that the check is just cut to him personally then? Or should the check go to the loan company?
So how was the invoice submitted?
So the invoice was submitted by the contractor. And it was paid via the loan. So basically the contractor arranged for financing via a lender.
Okay. I think to the extent that we approved the claim and it was presented by an invoice to a contractor, I think that we approved payment to the contractor, but I'd be happy to take a look at whatever you're looking at and we can potentially go from there after I take a look at it.
Okay, I can send that to you. And
I don't think that's anything we need to approve, is it, Jacob? How that's paid, that's something you can look into and advise Adam what to do?
Yeah, we can take a look and then to the extent we need to do anything else with this board, we can move forward at that time.
okay, just want to make sure that
I think we paid
there's no issue there.
Okay,
We're paying the correct entity.
right. Yeah, I'm with you on that.
We did that for these.
Yeah. Public comment. Public? Heard enough of everybody. Staff comment.
Nothing for me unless you have any questions, anything.
No, we got this guy.
Joe Renner, Town Manager again. Just want to give you an update on the demolition of the 3 homes. The RDC approved up to $30,000 for the removal of those homes. And I might have underestimated that a little bit. We're real close. We ended up with, so far, I believe the count is 29 dumpsters. So there was a lot. That was a lot. And some of them were charged a little bit higher because they were a little heavier than the others. We got the excavator. I feel like we got a really good price on it for disassembling and loading these dumpsters. $2,250 a week. We couldn't keep dumpsters coming quick enough. So we ended up having to have it for a second week. So after 3 days into the second week, you've paid for the second week. So it's, so we're, somewhere around just under $5,000 for the excavator. I don't know where I'm at exactly on dumpsters because I don't have all the invoices, but I'm guessing I'm going to be, I think with that and looking at the environmental asbestos and the removal, my rough numbers are about 28,000 is where I'm at so far.
And we approved 30?
Yeah.
We got money to go to the craft place and get some beer.
Several truckloads of concrete that we have to haul away. Either we can haul it away with our staff. It's like $75 a load to get rid of, smaller trucks. Or the dumpsters are 15 yards and they're about $450 a piece. So there's still going to be an expense to get rid of that either way. But
Whatever makes the most sense. All right.
that's where I'm at.
Thanks, Joe.
Mhm.
Board comments. Longest meeting ever. I know. Thanks.
Longest meeting? I am going to be moving in June, so next month will be my last meeting. So.
I'm sorry, that was declined. The board didn't decline that.
But-
That was voted on and we declined that. So sorry.
Yeah. So I'll be here next month and then I'm done. I will not live in the sit down anymore.
It's almost like she didn't hear me, that it was declined. Well, okay, I've been ignored by taller people.
You didn't get a second.
I didn't ask for one.
That ain't right.
2 hours then. We're going.
After 2 hours.
Thanks, Jacob.
Yeah, yeah.